Hello everybody and welcome to this video. It's the continuation in the line-for-line translation of Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. We're up to Act 2, Scene 2. Everything I go through in this video comes from Mr. Bruff's Guide to Much Ado About Nothing, available for £3.99 at mrbruff.com, so do take a look at that. So Act 2, Scene 2, enter Don John and Borachio. Now Don John says, "It is so, the Count Claudio shall marry the daughter of Leonato." And Don John is really saying, so it's all arranged. Count Claudio is going to marry Leonato's daughter. Borachio says, "Yea, my lord, but I can cross it." In other words, well, yes, it is arranged, but I can spoil it. And Don John gives one of the speeches that he's most famous for. "Any bar, any cross, any impediment will be medicinable to me. I am sick in displeasure to him, and whatsoever comes athwart his affection ranges evenly with mine. How canst thou cross this marriage?" In other words, well, any spanner that you can throw in the works would be like medicine to me. I dislike him so much it makes me feel ill. So anything that spoils things for him makes me feel better. What can you do to wreck the marriage? Borachio says, "Not honestly, my lord, but so covertly that no dishonesty shall appear in me." Well, in other words, we'll have to tell a few lies, but in secret so that nobody suspects me. And Don John says, "Show me briefly how." In other words, give me a quick overview of the plan, what you're thinking. And then Borachio answers this with something that I think is often sort of overlooked for students who are just watching the film. This idea of what's going on with Margaret. So let's have a look at this. "I think I told your lordship a year since how much I am in the favour of Margaret, the waiting gentlewoman to Hero." So in other words, I think I told you about a year ago that this servant woman, Margaret, she likes me. And Don John says, "I remember." Yes, I remember. And then Borachio says, "I can, at any unseasonable instant of the night, appoint her to look out at her lady's chamber window." Now, a little bit strange this, but I can get her to look out of Hero's bedroom window at any time that I want. And Don John says, "What life is in that to be the death of this marriage?" In other words, well, how is that going to put an end to the marriage? And Borachio says, "The poison of that lies in you to temper. Go you to the prince your brother, spare not to tell him that he hath wronged his honour in marrying the renowned Claudio, whose estimation do you mightily hold up, to a contaminated stale, such a one as Hero." In other words, well, that's where your involvement is important, Don John, because you're going to go to your brother, Don Pedro, and you're going to tell him that it would reflect badly on him to allow Claudio, who you really like, to marry like Hero. Don John says, "What proof shall I make of that?" In other words, well, how can I evidence that statement? And Borachio says, "Proof enough to misuse the prince, to vex Claudio, to undo Hero and kill Leonato. Look you for any other issue?" In other words, well, look, there's enough evidence to deceive the prince, to annoy Claudio, to ruin Hero, to kill Leonato. Is that enough for you? Don John says, "Only to despite them I will endeavour anything." So in other words, I'll do whatever it takes to make this happen. Borachio then gives a rather long speech. "Go then, find me a meet hour to draw Don Pedro and the Count Claudio alone. Tell them that you know that Hero loves me. Intend a kind of zeal both to the prince and Claudio, as in love your brother's honour, who hath made this match, and his friend's reputation, who is thus likely to be cozened with the semblance of a maid, that you have discovered thus. They will scarcely believe this without trial. Offer them instances which shall bear no less likelihood than to see me at her chamber window, hear me call Margaret Hero, hear Margaret term me Claudio, and bring them to see this the very night before the intended wedding. For in the meantime I will so fashion the matter that Hero shall be absent, and there shall appear such seeming truth of Hero's disloyalty, that jealousy shall be called assurance, and all the preparation overthrown." Now what's Borachio saying here? Well, he's saying, find some time to speak to Don Pedro and Claudio alone, and tell them that you've discovered that Hero loves me. Now make out that you're very concerned about damage to the good name of both the prince, who set the wedding up, and Claudio, who stands to be fooled into thinking he's marrying a virgin. Of course they'll want proof. Tell them that you've seen me at her window, and then the night before the wedding, bring them to the window themselves. I'll make sure Hero's away, and then I'll set it up so that they see me at the window with Margaret, calling each other Hero and Claudio. It will be such convincing proof of Hero's unfaithfulness that Claudio's jealousy will get the better of him and the wedding will be called off. And meanwhile, I'll arrange that Hero won't be there, she'll be absent, so that her disloyalty will appear true, and Claudio's jealousy will ensure he's convinced, and the wedding preparations will be wasted. So a very elaborate plan, and worth noting that the whole thing is Borachio's idea, not Don John's. You know, Don John's the sort of evil villain, but it's Borachio comes up with this sort of elaborate plan. And Don John says, grow this to what an adverse issue it can. I will put it into practice. Be cunning in the working this, and thy fee is 1,000 ducats. In other words, well, make this as damaging as you can, and I'll do it. And if you pull it off, if it works, I'll reward you with 1,000 gold coins. Borachio says, be you constant in the accusation, and my cunning shall not shame me. In other words, well, if you can make the accusation convincing, if you can do your part of the deal, my part of the action, my acting at the window won't let me down. And Don John says, I will presently go learn their day of marriage. So I'll go right now and find out the day that they're supposed to be married. And they exit. So a very short scene, which greatly contrasts the huge scene that preceded it. Analysis in the ebook and also in this video series. Please do subscribe to the channel.